Hello, and welcome to Come Play With Us, a spooky storytelling podcast. My name is Leila, and I'm joined by my evil twin,
Ruby. We're actually both the evil twin. We're both writers with non-writer day jobs. We believe in the power of great storytelling, so we've invited guests with the challenge of weaving a tale about real-life hauntings and paranormal activities with the sole purpose of scaring the shit out of us.
We'll rate them to see how they've done. Our ratings go a little something like this: scared shitless, some chills, and I think I'll be able to sleep tonight. Hi everyone, welcome back. Today we are joined by, of course, Ruby, my co-host,
Hi.
and our niece Rama.
Good afternoon.
I always feel like whenever we're telling or someone's telling me a scary story, I want to get cuddled up and as cozy as possible and darken the rooms, as I always say. However, it's daytime, so I just have my curtains drawn. But I'm still comfortable and I'm excited. Leila said that we're going to really like the story, Rama, so
I'm
buckle up.
excited.
I think you'll like this one.
I puts on buckle.
Okay. So today I'm going to tell you about the mysterious arcade game called Polybius and the intense psychological effects it had on kids.
Can I add something real quick? It's
Yeah.
so crazy you're talking about an arcade game. I literally went to an arcade yesterday.
Oh, really?
Yes, when I was hanging out
Wow.
with Ava, we went to an arcade and they had
You and
all...
Ava got drunk?
Damn,
No!
you and Ava were drinking together?
No, these are separate events. I hung out with Ava during the day. And
You're day drinking with Ava?
oh my
Oh
god.
my god.
I didn't start drinking
Poor
until
Ava's.
like what, 10 p.m.? No, this was before then. But we went to an arcade and they have all those like old retro arcade
fun.
games. Like they had
Mhm.
old
And
Mario,
was
Donkey Kong.
Polybius there?
No, I
No.
didn't even.
It
no,
was, you just didn't see it. It was like in one shadowy corner.
maybe.
And only some people see it on certain nights.
mean,
Ruby,
the
you don't
moon
even
is
know the
old.
story yet. Let me get to the story.
We just know
Okay.
it's a crazy arcade game. Okay, go ahead.
And then you have
Yeah.
an old man in there who's like, don't play it.
And he's dead.
Told you
I told-
kids not to play that game. Okay, sorry, good.
Okay, so then I think it's been turned into a horror movie before, and there's actually a novel coming out, a fictionalized novel, horror novel coming out next month that I saw in my Goodreads emails. I was like, oh, okay. Anyway, so in the 1980s, we know from Stranger Things and other media that arcade games were a huge pastime for young kids and teens. Imagine living in that time and you're just mining quarters wherever you can, however you can, and then waiting all day to get out of school to meet your friends up at the local arcade. It's in that prototypical environment that we meet Polybius. In 1981, in Portland, Oregon, a mysterious new game began popping up in the suburban arcades with no forewarning. It just suddenly appeared, and back then, it wasn't really common for new games to show up like this without some sort of preparation or hype. It was called Polybius. It looked kind of cool. The whole game cabinet was solid black. There was no other designs on it. And the words Polybius are in these large bubble neon green letters against a black background at the very top of the cabinet. And in a recent recreation of the game, it includes a red joystick on one side and a white button to press on the other. And it's super mysterious looking. And it certainly was exciting. Kids clamored to be the first ones to play this new game, and it became a sensation overnight. There would be long lines going out the door, and there was a rumor that the game wasn't just fun to play, but had highly addictive qualities. Apparently, it was some sort of shooting game, or at least one account I read said this, but there have been other interpretations of what the gameplay actually was. People called it a puzzle game, things like that. The one I read said it was a laser shooting at a bunch of round bubbles of different colors, and it came with intense strobing lights. So this new game appears, kids get excited and addicted, long lines out the block, but then the problem started. First, a few players began to complain of having nausea. As we know, playing video games can cause nausea. I know that's happened to me sometimes when very infrequently I'll play something.
The Last of Us Part 2. That was me with The Last of Us Part 2.
Yeah, and I got mad at you.
Video games.
You do or you don't?
I don't.
I get motion sickness, so it's from motion stuff. Like one time Todd was playing Doom and it was way too smooth and I was like, I had to look away.
Yeah. So that wasn't just the only symptom. Some began experiencing nightmares after playing for hours at a time, and that may have been normal too, because, they were playing this game repeatedly for hours, and studies have shown that often looking at stimulating images and experiencing strong emotions, such as winning or losing, before bed can cause nightmares. But some of these were also evolving into straight-up night terrors. And it doesn't stop there. Some kids were also experiencing bouts of amnesia, forgetting parts of their days altogether. And then there were those that were having insomnia, hallucinations, and even seizures. Some of these symptoms came with intense paranoia, like they felt like they were being followed or watched. Imagine playing a game that just straight up altered your brain chemistry. So with all these kids falling sick in terrifying, unexplainable ways, of course, the parents were concerned, but before they could roll up their sleeves and confront the local arcades, after only a month of release, the Polybius games disappeared without a trace. For years, it became an urban legend. The game came and went so quickly, and soon the kids who had been the first to play it one by one grew up, still somewhat remembering the strange, brief arcade game that appeared and disappeared in a blip in time, but was intensely addictive and had horrific side effects after playing. In some of their memories, these now grown-ups recalled that when they'd be in the arcade, sometimes Polybius wouldn't be available to play. Of course, the kids would be upset and go disperse to play other games, but they always saw a couple of strange, out-of-place looking men wearing all black, servicing the Polybius cabinet and grabbing data and readings from it. So was it just a fever dream? Did this game really happen to them? Fast forward to 1998, in the early days of the internet, when websites were a lot more basic and blog-like, way less graphic rich and way more informational than it is now. There was a website called coinop.org, and it essentially was a blog that acted as a database. It kept a running catalog of coin-operated arcade games of yore, hence the name. So in 1998, an article was written for Polybius on this site, and it said the name of the company that created it was called Sinneslotion, which is a mashup of German words. Sin means the senses, and lotion means to delete. So essentially, the company's name came out to be senses delete, or some interpret it as sensory deprivation. There's a claim that if you put it into Google Translate, it says deletion of the mind. Polybius itself is the name of a Greek historian who, according to Wikipedia, is known for his assertion that historians should never report what they cannot verify through interviews with eyewitnesses. So basically he's saying, as a historian, it's your responsibility to get as many eyewitnesses to corroborate past events. You don't just go off one report, you do your due diligence. But really, when you dig in about his history, you find out that he was actually a cryptographer, and he had designed a cipher that could be used to send long-range messages with different codes for different messages. So one example is using a code to show someone that there's a fire, that there's different versions of that code by waving a flag that this is what this kind of fire is, so, or someone's burning or whatever. So basically it was a primitive or more ancient way of creating code. So anyway, it was named after him. So this website creates this entry and it sparks all this conversation that if it's being cataloged at all, then it certainly did exist. But there's no ROM, which is computer language for read-only memory. So basically there's no digital trace of this game since it disappeared. Well, this website claimed to have it. they had some trace of the ROM, and they uploaded a ROM image of basically, the title screen of the arcade game. They uploaded a image of that, which has the neon green bubble letters of the name Polybius, then underneath it, a copyright of 1981 and a name of the company Sinislotion. Okay, this is what the person who wrote the article said. The bizarre rumors about this game are that it was supposedly developed by some kind of weird military tech offshoot group, used some kind of proprietary behavior modification algorithms developed for the CIA or something. Kids who played it woke up at night screaming, having horrible nightmares. According to an operator who ran an arcade with one of these games, guys in black coats would come to collect records from the machines. They're not interested in quarters or anything, they just collected information about how the game was played. The game was weird looking, kind of abstract, fast action with some puzzle elements. The kids who played it stopped playing games entirely. One of them became a big anti-video game crusader or something. So that's what the article said. So, of course, the article blew up because people were astonished it really did exist and they hadn't imagined it. But then, of course, the hoaxes started coming in. And so in 2006, this one man commented on the article. It's this huge comment. You can actually go on the site and look. And he claimed to be one of the game's original programmers and that the company was created in 1978 in Czechoslovakia, and that a South American company had asked them to create an arcade game that he and his programmer team wanted to, a South American company asked them to create an arcade game, and that he and his programmer team wanted to create something never made before that was super complex and sophisticated. So they created it and released Polybius, and within days, kids were getting seizures and daring each other to play this killer game. The people in the comments fact-checked the names of the people he said he worked with and saw how weirdly written his whole claim was on the blog, and his story was eventually denounced. The person who had written the main article said the fake claim took away from the central mystery of who created Polybius and who were these men in black that were the ones to service it. So the last update on the article, which you can go online and see, said, "We've recently received some new information about the game. Today's May 16th, 2009. And yes, one of us is flying to Kiev, Ukraine area tomorrow. And yes, the trip is related to this information. Stay tuned."
Wait, what year was that last message?
2009.
Okay, because there's a lot going on right now in Ukraine. Okay.
I know. And since then, there have been no updates.
They did.
Yeah. So now, before Polybius, I don't know, I'm guessing that they're dead. So before Polybius, there were already stories of kids falling sick playing arcade games for too long. There was a kid who had gotten intense migraine and vomited after playing for hours, and then he collapsed. There was another kid who ended up...
Wait, this is still Polybius or other games in general?
No, other games. There was this other kid who got these terrible, debilitating stomach cramps while playing and had to stop. And there was even one kid who had a heart attack and died after playing nonstop. So there were already these kinds of stories going around. You know, obviously this is the 80s. This is what kids did for a pastime. And really, given all the mystery surrounding it, how it was released in only one city and disappeared just as quickly, to me, it seems like these games were released to test young, malleable minds like teens, and were able to manipulate these kids with mind control, hence the feelings of paranoia, night terrors, and seizures. And it feels very eerily similar to the addictive ways social media works on kids now, the way the algorithm has found a way to make users stick to the app. Was Polybius an early experiment in how to manipulate and control people using technology? So there were a lot of examples over the last 50 to 60 years. The government has created a variety of ways to experiment on Americans. So the most famous one, which you both have probably heard of before, between the 1950s and 1970s, when communism was the enemy, was called MK Ultra. And this is where the CIA used LSD and other psychoactive drugs, and specifically what they called chemical, biological, and radiological methods of mind control via brainwashing, hypnosis, and psychological torture. The suggestion is that with MK Ultra, the CIA ultimately wanted to create a Manchurian type candidate, which is basically based on a fictional character from a novel who is brainwashed and assassinating someone on behalf of the government. But CIA was like, no.
It's like you're creating like sleeper agents, right?
Yeah. But it's like, no, dude, we were doing way other more nefarious stuff. That, you know? And this was also something that Stranger Things was inspired by, with the mysterious government facility run by Papa, but especially the use of children in these experiments, which was true of MK Ultra as well. It was all designed to figure out ways to use citizens to test various warfare methods on enemies, and many people who were experimented on in MK Ultra died. One guy's family even sued the government over it. I mean, it's a well-known thing. So, knowing the kind of effect arcade games had on teens, you know, vomiting, seizures, detrimental health effects, it seems like maybe the government was onto something or turned their attention toward it. From the Red Scare to the Cold War to post 9/11, there's always been whenever there's been a perceived threat to the US, it's not unreasonable to wonder if Polybius was just another version of the government using its citizens to test out new techniques, not only to addict people to certain things, but also see how they can manipulate and control them. That's my theory, and I'd love to know what you think.
Are you scared?
You're saying it was the United States government? Because I was like, who? Because I'm trying to think of like what were like the U.S. relations with other countries in 1981. Like if it's a germ. No, but I'm like, I know there was like, you know, take down that wall, whatever, like with Germany.
It's Cold War. Remember the whole Russia stuff in Stranger Things or in the 80s? That's what they're basically.
But the name of the company was German. Or, I mean, I guess that could still be fake. It could still be Cold War related stuff.
Yeah.
The thing is, there's been creepy stuff that's happened all the time that no one has any explanation for, like the Havana syndrome. Like, there's been creepy stuff. That was like people who have been reported having had, like people who were working at embassies, the United States embassies, in Havana, which is why it's called Havana syndrome in Cuba. So it's a mysterious cluster of health problems experienced by U.S. government personnel and their families, initially reported in Havana. But yeah, so it was headaches, dizziness, balance problems, cognitive difficulties, hearing problems. And no one knows yet what caused it, but the fact that all these people were experiencing at the same time, people were saying it could be like sound waves that we can't hear. I don't think it's beyond the realm of possibility that like in 1981, seeing how the almost addictive nature of arcade games, because they are addictive, Rema, that's how they make money with those quarters, is like you keep wanting to play and play and play. They're doing that right now with social media and algorithms. What if we're all being tested on, you know?
All right, so a reminder of our ratings. They go a little something like this. So the most scary is scared shitless, and the medium scary is some chills, and least scary is I think I'll be able to sleep tonight. So
Good
who
job.
wants to go first?
You usually stumble on the first one, I think.
I know. I'm getting better at it. Who wants to go first?
Me first. Me first. I got some chills. You sounded it. I think I would be more scared if I had played the game. Or
You'd
like
be having a seizure right now.
No, I'm not. I think I would have been more scared if the game also was like around still. If it was physically here, because then I could go play it and like experience it. And
would you play it if it?
Yeah, for sure, I would play it.
I'd be curious. Like I'd watch someone else play it.
I wouldn't play it.
No, I would go play it.
I would not mess around with that shit.
You guys would watch me play it.
I wouldn't even
probably watch you play it.
I kind of like the category of haunted games.
Yeah.
I
Do you remember that movie Stay Alive?
No.
Oh my gosh, it's actually not bad. It was on TV, but obviously
It's really good.
It's from like 2000. It's not a very recent movie, so you can tell. But
It's really good.
It's like
I
these
feel like
people and
watching
they're
it
playing.
again.
Yeah, it was on TV not too long ago. But anyway, it is good, and there's these kids and they're playing a haunted video game called Stay Alive. You'd like it. I think you should definitely watch it.
Okay.
But again, just know that it's basically from the year 2000. Actually, let me see.
I like those though, and I've played games like
Oh no, it's 2006, but wow, it feels a lot older than that.
there's even with Minecraft, there was a time where they were like, "Oh, you can do this in the game to summon this other character, Herobrine," and like it was like a ritual in the game,
That's
and
creepy.
yeah, super creepy, and it's literally just this character that it looks exactly like Steve, but he just has white eyes, like he doesn't have any pupils.
That's
And
creepy.
he's super ominous and just shows up out of nowhere sometimes. And so I get the paranoia as well. I used to feel like I was paranoid. Like I would feel like he was watching me while I was playing the game. Because I also read up on all the lore about him and how
They were experimenting on you.
he was a
Yeah.
bug that they just could not erase.
Oh, I
That's
love that.
scary.
Yeah.
I love that.
And he was just always there in
I
every
love that.
version.
I
But
mean, video
haven't heard of
games,
him lately.
they do
And
affect
that's
you.
so easy to internalize things like that.
And video
Like
games do.
imagine someone says like this game will give you nightmares. You're gonna play it and it's gonna give you nightmares. So you internalize it.
But I know like when you're playing video games, like they do mess with your emotions. Like
Yeah.
you get really pissed off and angry, you want to throw your controller because you can't beat that level. Or like when Leila came over for a weekend and we like burned through Last of Us Part 1 before the show came out. I had already played it, and so then Leila and I played it together. And I remember like ending the game at like 2 a.m. I would have a total break from reality. And it'd be like, I'd look out the window and I'd see a guy walking with a backpack and I'm like, oh, a survivor. Like, it was so weird. Like,
Well, it's interesting because these
you
games weren't as immersive as The Last of Us. It's like pew, 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 and like little bubbles and yeah.
So me, I will say my rating is scared shitless. Because you just never know. You never know what game is going to be like, hey, this game is super viral. You guys should play it. And then it messes with you and you just become a Manchurian Candidate,
Yeah.
Or you just get really sick and you just don't know. And the fact that, there's things that can alter your brain like that and you just don't even know if it's just going to end up in your hands and you're going to be an unwitting subject. That scares me.
What's your rating then?
I just said it was scared shitless.
Oh. Where was I?
I don't know where you were.
Yeah, she
Yeah.
very smoothly transitioned into her rating, saying
I
she
will
was
say, I was
so
actually
smooth
quite
that I didn't
proud.
even hear it.
I was so proud of that. That was a very smooth transition.
I noticed it, Paula.
All right. Well, thank you both for your ratings. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome.
I hope that coinop.org ever gets updated. That'd be really interesting to see whatever happened with that trip.
I want to go in a rabbit hole about what happened to them.
Yeah.
Was
I'm
that
about to go into a
was
rabbit
that like
hole.
their last post?
Yeah.
Ever?
It was an article, and then they made an update. There's a lot of comments, and you can find that one man. His name is Stephen Roach. You can find his comment, the one who was debunked. But yeah, I don't think there's many comments past 2006 ever since they updated it, or 2009 ever since they updated it.
Goes in comments. I'm gonna start another hoax. I created the game.
Grab that.
And then you're going to disappear.
I'm gonna email you guys.
Never hears from me ever again.
Never hears, like never blinks, never hears from her again.
Exactly. I'm in your nightmares.
But
that's kind of scary.
I mean, what I want is I want to read whatever books and movies and stuff are inspired by it because that just kind of sounds fun.
Yeah, I mean, there's this book that's kind of like and then the cover of the book has the game on it. It looks really cool in 80s. So I'm actually interested in reading the book.
Wait, and the book is recent?
It's coming out next month. It's called Polybius.
Ooh.
I want to read that. I'm excited. I want to read that.
I don't know who the author is, but I'm just plugging their book for them. But
Imagine,
let's plug it now. Let me look it up.
Imagine it's one of the creators of the game. He's coming out now.
Is it Colin Armstrong?
Probably. Yes, it's Colin Armstrong.
So Colin Armstrong and Simon. Dude, I want to read that. We're reading it. That's going to be our book club.
Thank you again to our listeners. We just can't do this without you. Don't forget to review the podcast wherever you prefer to listen. And we hope to bring you more fun episodes in the near future.
Thank you.